If you have to tell people you're healed, you're probably still healing. The strongest women I know don't post about it. They don't announce their boundaries in a caption. They don't perform their growth for an audience. And honestly, that used to confuse me because we're taught that confidence is loud, that strength looks like a mic drop moment. It doesn't. I'm going to walk you through 7 habits of emotionally strong women, and I want to be upfront. This isn't a list of things to make you feel behind. If anything, by the end of this video, you're going to realize you're doing more of these than you think. And the ones you're not, those are just your next level. Stay to the end because habit 7 is the one almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most important one. Let's get into it. Habit 1. They let things be unresolved. The first habit is this. She doesn't need every conversation to end with a clean bow on it. Think about the last time someone hurt you and never fully apologized. Or a friendship that just faded with no explanation. Most people replay that on a loop for weeks. They need the closure. They need the other person to admit they were wrong, out loud, in detail, before they can move on. An emotionally strong woman has trained herself out of that need. Not because she doesn't care, she cares plenty. But she's learned something most people never learn. Chasing resolution just to feel better right now usually creates a bigger mess later. You send the paragraph text. You demand the conversation nobody's ready for. And it backfires. So she lets it be unfinished. She lets herself not know. And weirdly, that's what actually gives her peace back faster than closure ever would. If you've ever let something go without getting the last word, that was this habit. You already have it. Habit 2. They ask before they assume. Second habit, when something feels off, she asks instead of assumes. Here's what I mean. Someone sends a short, dry text, or cancels plans last minute, or their tone shifts slightly in a meeting. The default human reaction, and I mean everyone's default, this isn't a flaw, is to build a whole story in your head. They're mad at me. I did something wrong. They're pulling away. Emotionally strong women aren't immune to that spiral. They have the same intrusive thought everyone else has. The difference is what they do next. Instead of marinating in it for 3 days and quietly resenting someone for something you're not even sure happened, she sends one text. Hey, is everything okay? That's it. That's the whole habit. It sounds small. It is not small. Asking is scarier than assuming, because assuming feels safe. You never have to face a real answer. Asking means you might hear something you don't want to hear. She asks anyway. Habit 3. They let themselves be bad at things. This one surprises people, because you'd expect emotional strength to look like competence, mastery, having it together. Actually, it often looks like the opposite. It looks like a grown woman signing up for a pottery class and making something lopsided and genuinely ugly and posting it anyway, laughing about it, instead of quietly quitting after week 1 because her ego couldn't handle being a beginner. If you've spent years being the responsible one, the capable one, the one who has it together, letting yourself be visibly bad at something is uncomfortable in a very specific way. It threatens the identity. But that's exactly why it builds strength. She's not chasing another gold star. She's proving to herself that her worth was never actually tied to being good at everything. Habit 4. They don't perform their healing. Now this is where I want to be careful, because I'm not saying don't talk about your mental health. Talk about it. Therapy is not something to hide. The distinction is this: is the healing for you, or is it for the audience? She might be in therapy right now. She might have cried in her car last week over something that seemed small on the outside. You'd probably never know unless she told you, because she's not doing the work to be seen doing the work. She's doing it because she genuinely wants a different life than the one her anxiety or her people-pleasing or her old patterns were writing for her. This matters more than people realize because performed healing quietly becomes its own trap. You start needing the validation of looking healed more than you need the actual, slow, boring process of becoming it. Habit 5, they say the boring, uncomfortable no. Not the dramatic no. Not the I'm setting a boundary speech. The small, unremarkable no. I can't make it to that. That doesn't work for my budget. I need to leave by 9. The kind of no that nobody claps for. Nobody's going to compliment you on your boundaries for skipping a happy hour. And here's the part people leave out when they talk about boundaries. She still feels guilty sometimes. She still slightly over-explains. Strength isn't the absence of guilt, it's saying the no with the guilt still sitting there, uncomfortable, and doing it anyway. If you're waiting to feel confident before you set a boundary, you're going to wait forever. She doesn't wait for the guilt to leave. She just doesn't let it drive. Habit 6. They let other people be wrong about them. Someone misreads her. Thinks she's cold when she's actually just exhausted. Gets a story about her slightly wrong and repeats it to someone else. The instinct, especially if you're a woman who's been called too sensitive or too much your whole life, is to correct every single version. To make sure everyone has the accurate picture of who you are. To type out the long explanation. She's learned to pick her battles. She'll clarify what actually matters. And the rest, the small misunderstandings, the slightly off gossip, the person who's decided their version of her is the real one she lets go. Not because she doesn't care what people think even a little bit. She does. She's human. But she's stopped needing to win every single perception of herself. Habit 7. They keep one unoptimized thing. Here's the one almost nobody talks about, like I promised. In a life that constantly pressures you to be productive, trackable, improvable, she keeps one thing that serves absolutely no purpose. A show she's rewatched 10 times. A hobby she's mediocre at with zero plans to monetize it. 20 minutes some evenings where she's doing nothing, not even listening to a podcast to make sure the time is used well. If that sounds indulgent, sit with why it sounds indulgent. We've been trained to believe rest has to be earned. That everything, even relaxation, needs to be optimized into self-improvement. Journaling becomes a habit tracker. Walks become step count goals. Even hobbies get monetized into side hustles. She keeps one thing off limits from all of that. One thing that's just for her, that produces nothing, and that's exactly the point. It's a quiet rebellion against the idea that she has to be useful to be allowed to rest. So here's the truth about all 7 of these. None of them are impressive on their own. Nobody's clapping when you ask a clarifying question instead of spiraling. Nobody's giving you an award for skipping brunch. That's actually the whole point. Emotional strength isn't a personality you either have or don't. It's 100 small, unglamorous choices, repeated on the days nobody's watching, including the days you don't pull it off perfectly. Because you won't. Every single time. And that's allowed. If you made it this far, you're clearly someone who takes your own growth seriously. So let me ask you directly, which of these 7 habits do you already have? And which one is your next one to build? Drop the number in the comments. I genuinely read them, and I want to know where you're at. And if this resonated with you, subscribe. I make videos like this every week for women who are done performing and actually want to build something real. There's a video right here that goes even deeper on related topic. Go watch that one next. I'll see you in the next one.